You guys, we are back in the studio for a 2.0 with the one and only Dora Atim. Before we even get into this intro, if you don't follow Dora on Instagram, you need to go and hit that follow button right now because her stories are my favorites. We are talking all things about the world of running, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I hope you enjoy. Dora Atim, welcome back to She's Got Game.
Happy to be back.
Thanks for joining me. It's been a whole year since you were last on the podcast. When you think about the woman you were then versus the woman you are now, what would you say has changed the most?
I think I'm a bit more chaotic, even more so than I was last year. But I feel like I'm a bit more driven, a bit more passionate. So I think that's where I feel like the chaos comes.
What have you been working on mainly that's made you channel that chaotic energy?
What am I not working on? So I'm always like, you know what, let me have like my one thing I want to sort of like focus on for the year. And that normally typically happens on my birthday. That's like my New Year's. And I was like, let me start an organisation. And I'm starting an organisation. And I was also like, I would love to like upskill and study. So I impulsively signed up for a master's. And I'm now going to be also doing a master's and trying to do my job also. So all the things are happening. But I say impulsively, it's been on my list for a long time, but I just was trying to figure out the best time to do it. And I was like, now. Yeah. So that's what I'm working on at the minute.
What is the master's on?
So I'm studying to be a physio. So hopefully new physio on the block soon.
Oh my God, we were literally just talking about how tight my calf is today. I'm going to be coming to you if you ever need a guinea pig.
Fixing everybody.
Yeah. And then talk to us about the charity, because I actually think you were starting that when we were talking about the podcast last time. We were sat upstairs and you were working on it. Talk to us a little bit more. What is that? How is that going?
Yeah, so I might even drop some exclusives because people don't know much. But when we last spoke, it was sort of like an idea and I was sort of figuring out how to make it happen because obviously these things need time and resource. Both I didn't have. So I was sort of like, how to make it work. And as the months went by, you know, I did like one thing a month to bring me that step closer. And then when, I don't even remember if I'd been to Mexico then. I'd been on a trip with Nike.
Can't remember.
Don't know. But I'd then gone on a trip with Nike and that opened up about 15 million doors. So, you know, you had like all these people in the room that have that experience and, you know, can give funding or point you in the direction to do so. So I was sort of like, yes, this is actually the time to do it. So as soon as I got home, I was like, I'm doing it right now. And then came the paperwork and I was like, damn. Like, I feel like I've had multiple meltdowns in the process, but it's been great. Like, I've loved the process. I'm a control freak. I want to know every single thing that's happening. So now we're at the stage of it's almost about to happen. I can see the finish line.
Okay.
I can see the finish line. And then it comes the fun part. So, you know, creating the programs and getting the people moving.
Yeah. When can we expect to see this come to market?
It was supposed to be February.
Okay.
Well, actually, it was supposed to be December, supposed to be January, now Feb. But realistically, probably April, because I want things to be done properly. How I feel proper. And I just want to feel a bit more ready, because at the moment I just feel like I'm like throwing things out, you know, the new year kind of like energy, like new things and motivate people. I'm going to wait. So yeah, spring.
So on that, because I find this really interesting, that point of you're never going to feel fully ready to go for something, but there is that point of being patient enough for when you're ready enough for something. For people listening, what are some things you've learned over the years and how to strike that balance between going for it even though things aren't perfect, but waiting enough that they're good enough?
Oh, good question. I think patience is such I don't have that. But then also what I have learned is I do have it, because I don't have deadlines. I don't have people like, you have to have this done by December 31st. But I'm also like, I want it done so I can, you know, strike. But I think the balance, it's an interesting word because I've been having this conversation a lot lately. I don't have that. I don't think I'll ever have work-life balance or any sort. I think it's just going to be, sometimes going to be chaotic, sometimes going to be less chaotic. And that's what works for me. And as soon as I can accept that and not feel like, oh, I'm doing it wrong and other people have it together, I'm fine. And that's what I had to do. Like, I learned so much about myself from just setting up a charity. Like, I have a team, I have, you know, a board of trustees, and I'm like, people are asking me things and I'm sort of like, I don't have the answer, but it's fine because it's my thing and I'm directing it, and I have I've been very selective with who I work with, and it's happened naturally, and I have an amazing group of people and everyone same wavelength, like it's going to happen when it does. And there's no rush, essentially.
Do you think it's something that perhaps as women we tend to think that we're maybe underqualified for things, or wait a little bit longer than perhaps guys tend to when it comes to things like this?
Oh my God, absolutely. And even just like myself, like I feel like I'm so underqualified in things, and most of the times I am, but you know, the internet is right there, and also the passion is there, and also I have a network. So it's like, if you don't know how to do something, call out someone in your community. The same way people call out on me to help them with things. I feel like I'm constantly winging it, but then again, when I look back on the last decade of my life, I'm like, oh, I've put my 10,000 hours in. I know exactly what I'm doing, and there are more people who are way more ballsy who'll be like, don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to try and see what happens. I'm like, I need that. I need some more of that. Throw things at a wall and see what sticks. Yeah. And then again, just try and, again, back to that word balance. It's like, it's going to work. Like, have a bit of like winging it and have a bit of like know what you're doing, because you can wing it because you've spent the last decade doing what you know what you're doing.
Do you think anyone who is deemed as quote unquote successful, however that looks, actually has work-life balance? Does that exist?
No, I don't think it does. You know, the algorithm likes to push all these like CEO podcasts and like, this is how to be successful. And I'm like, I know for a fact that you don't sit at your dinner table and have a dinner with your family or your friends and all that kind of stuff on a regular basis. Like, I know that doesn't happen. So I feel like when this whole idea of success is like pushed on us, it's like, hey, we're also just trying to live a life too. Don't get me wrong, I would love me some like, you know, 6-figure, 7-figure, billion-pound companies, but it's not going to happen because my life is a little bit too normal. So I don't feel like people have balance at such a high level.
And it's almost like everyone's chasing the same version of success when success looks so different to everyone. So what actually does make you happy?
Exactly. I think success is like, it's changed for me over the years. And I think where I'm at now is more like, I would say freedom, but essentially like more control. Like, I want control over things because I know I'm always going to be working on 18,000 things at a time, and I just need a bit of more control. And that's what success looks like for me.
It's almost like, because I feel like I'm the same as you, my brain will try and do 18,000 things at once. And I used to find that really stressful and be like, oh, I wish I wasn't like this. I wish I could just focus on one thing at a time. But it's about having figured out how I can handle all of those things at once. I think it's a superpower if you zoom out from it. I think it's great that your brain can handle so much at once. But channeling, like you said, when you've got the energy for the things, go for it. And when you need that break, just take that step back and have that day where you do nothing, or you watch The Simpsons, or whatever we end up doing on that day off. You've become more and more visible in the running world. I feel like you've always been a real figure, but particularly as time goes on, that visibility has increased, not just as an athlete, but the way you use your voice. What's something that you actively chose, or something that you feel like has happened to you in your time in the running world?
So interesting when people say that to me, because I feel like I've disappeared more and more in the running space in the best way possible, because I always be like, oh, you know, the less you see of me, the better, because again, I'm always like, oh, don't listen to me, like chaos. Like, you saw my stories about the failed ultra attempt, chaos, everything about me. But more so, I love relating to people, and I feel like once you get to a certain stage in your journey, like, people think you know it all, can do it all, and people think we don't get injured and we don't have terrible runs, and the reality is we do. The reality is I don't even like running right now. I don't like it. But my job involves, you know, motivating people and telling them that they should like it and you should try it because it's so great. That's what I love about running. It's giving me, like, yes, sometimes I hate it, but I'm still doing it. I still show up. I still give what I can, and it's my one thing that it's me time. It also gives me that control. That I have control whether I do it or not. But I think the storytelling and me just sharing my thoughts really does like help me relate to people. And that's what keeps people coming back a lot. And I have so many conversations, and I love that people can be like, yeah, you know what? I didn't hit my 50K week or all my sessions. I'm training for a marathon and I didn't do every single run. I'm like, exactly, because you're not going to. And I feel like years ago I couldn't have those conversations because, you know, everything is all like, you know, lock in, do the sessions. If you don't do it, you're crap. But no, if you sign up to something and you have a training journey, it's not going to go to plan, and that is okay. You just have to figure out how to make it work for you. And I feel like I love that part about the chaos, because it's a bit of storytelling as well, and I love to tell a story.
Yeah. I love how you use the word training journey instead of plan or program there, because again, for anyone who follows you, it is a journey, and for anyone who works with clients or who has had a trainer, like a plan feels so rigid, and like you can't have flexibility within it or deviate outside of the lines. For someone who might be on their training journey now and they're struggling with that idea of perfecting things and doing them exactly as is, what advice would you have for them?
I think let go a little bit. I am like, I've tried to find ways to be like, how am I going to feel good at the end of a training week if it's not gone to plan? And most of the time I don't feel good, but last week I had a terrible training week, but I still showed up to most of the sessions. I got Uber home for some of them. But it was like, I got to the end of the week and I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I have 21 more weeks to try and, you know, nail it. So it's sort of like, some weeks going to be crap. But I think just try and control the way you think about the training journey. Like, you're not a failure. You're not getting less fit, less strong. You're actually just learning new ways to move your body. And obviously we are all chronically online. And when you scroll, all you see is, oh, look at my 100K week. Oh, look at my PB. Oh, look at my race. And it's like, I had an awful week actually. But I guarantee you speak to that person who's doing the whole like glossy stuff and they're like, oh yeah, actually I'm injured. Or that's, you know, I find I'm having these conversations so much. So it's like, it's hard to take it seriously and be passionate about it, but try not to sweat the small stuff, because like just showing up and giving something is part of that journey. And, you know, I think trail running and ultra running kind of unlocked that side of thinking for me, because again, sometimes I show up to race day and I DNF. Sometimes I get injured and I don't make it to race day. So it's like, if we can use that approach to our journey and training journey as opposed to a program, that the journey might not be that race. It might just be, you can now run without feeling awful about yourself. You can now run because you're a bit more confident to, you know, explore a new neighborhood, or you can now go to a run club and run in a group of people. You know, for some people that's a lot to, you know, get out and be in a group. So yeah, it's just shifting the mindset a little bit, but not in a like woo-woo, you know, way. Just tiny things that will work for yourself.
I also love a bit of woo-woo, so any woo-woo
I love me some woo-woo too. Hey,
so
if you're going to tell me to get a crystal, I'm going to get them.
I'm going to get it.
I love me some woo-woo.
At what point do you feel like you realised people weren't just watching you run, but they were also listening to you, just the way that you lived, you speak, you lead within the running world?
I think it's the question, like people constantly asking me questions. People are like sharing their stories. Like people love and overshare, and I am nosy. So like, I want to know it all. People send like paragraphs and I'm like, I'm locked in, I'm sat down, I've got my tea, I'm like, right. And I also just feel like I love telling people my business. So it's like my running business, not anything else. I just love to tell people things and just like share. So the more people tell me, the more I'm going to share. And I think from there kind of becomes this whole like, oh, I think I should do more of this. I impulsively started a Substack.
I saw this. How can we see?
I don't even know how to use the app. Dora Atim at Substack. I don't know. I don't know how it works.
Either, but
I was
we'll
like,
link
because
it.
I read a lot of them. Bring back reading, honestly. And a lot of people have been sharing. There was one in particular that a friend of mine had shared, like her failures of 2025. And I read through the entire post and I was like, this is so incredible and so inspiring. I actually don't see anything that's a failure here. And also I've watched how she's navigated her business ventures. And I was like, I can't wait to be like so incredible like her. And, you know, for her, that's like, oh, all these failures. And I'm like, wow. So I started one because I was like, I'm going to share my tea as well. I'm going to spill my tea.
I love that. What would you say are some of the most common things that you do get asked on social media?
It's a lot about like confidence and how like I'm never going to be able to run a 5K or a 10K. And again, it's the internet. You see so much, like you have to run a marathon and people be like, should I run a marathon? I'm like, no. And people are like, what? I'm like, no, you shouldn't. If you don't want to, why would you do that? First of all, it's 16 weeks minimum of your life gone. Like, you know what I mean? Because you're just constantly running, talking about running, eating, running. But I think it's more so like people want to feel like they can do something. I'm like, okay, if it is running, what does that look like to you? Not anybody else. And if we didn't have our phones and the internet, what would it look like for you without the internet? And it could be just getting out the door 4 times a week. And, you know, I'm training people who are about to, you know, train for a marathon. Some of them it's their first. And the idea of race day is like this really violent deadline. And I'm like, we're just not going to think about race day at the moment. We're going to think about like getting through this first training block and take it from there. Because if you constantly thinking about like, oh my God, race day, I'm constantly thinking about race day. I have like a big goal this year and I'm like, but now I'm just like, nope, get to February, get to March, get to April. Oh crap, okay, race day. But I've done everything I could to get there. So you just got to roll the dice and see.
Yeah, because the race day and sometimes whatever goal we've set ourselves for, it might be showing up to the race, or it could be a certain time or whatever it is. But I feel like often when we set goals, they're so audacious, which I'm all for audacious goals and I think they're brilliant. But I do think there's that really fine line between setting something outside of what's possible and then that being really demotivating and something that's actually just pushing you to your limits. And if race day is the limit, always thinking about that, it's going to feel petrifying on day one because of course you couldn't show up and do that now. It's going to take this whole journey to be able to do that. And I love that idea of just focusing on 1 week at a time because it's just getting you one step closer and closer without even really realising that you've done it.
Yeah, honestly, it's just, such a game. Again, ultra running has kind of unlocked that for me because it's like, you know, I'm training for my biggest distance yet and I can't ever say it because I'm just like, oh. But I'm like, that is so audacious of me. What is going on? But in the process, you know, I'm working on weekly mileage, running my longest mileage yet. And then it's like, what race can I put between now and spring that I know? So we're doing a 50K March. I know I can do 50K. So I feel good about that. One step closer. It's crazy. I know 50K is crazy. People are probably like, oh God, not relatable. It is relatable in some sense. But it's sort of like if it's, you know, a 10K you're training for, right. Let's think about working up to the distance in a week. Let's work up to running a park run. Let's, you know, things that can feel in reach. It's just bringing you closer to that big audacious one, which would be the 10K or the half or, you know.
Whatever
might be. The goal is.
Yeah. So with your increased visibility that you may not realise you've got, but you absolutely have, do you feel like now when you step into rooms or events or races, like when you've been to certain races in France, that you feel more exposed or more empowered?
I definitely feel a bit of both. Like I definitely feel very exposed most of the time, but I use that as a positive. Like I don't feel like it's awful to be like, oh, you know, because also the way I do things is a little bit, you can't ignore me. You can't ignore me. So in some way, and I think the people that come with me, people that choose to, you know, trust in me and follow me on the journey too, are who empower me. So that's why I get like a bit of both.
So for people who sometimes step into a room and they may be like, I feel exposed because I feel underqualified or I don't feel like I'm being welcomed into this space, how can they turn that into that positive in the way that you have? Say they don't have some people there with them who are their real support systems and their ride or dies. what are some things that they could tap into or pull on to step into that stage of empowerment?
It's that's a tough one. I think, you know, sometimes once you get into a room or, you know, you've got one step closer, you're there for a reason. And the reason you're there is because you've done something to get there. So it's like you've done the hard part, and now you just got to do the part that you just step into the role that you want it to be. Like you nail a client, you're like, okay, we're going to pitch something. You've done the work to get there. So now all you have to do is just dazzle them because they've listened to you for a reason. And then just tap it, like whoever your support system is, just think about them. Just think about them and think about why you're doing something. Like for me, you know, setting up an organization is terrifying because now people ask me things because they think I know things. I'm like, I don't want to be the boss. I just want to set this thing up and like, you know, but that is very exposing. And I feel I'm underqualified, but what I think about is like how great the work's going to be and how like the feel. I just know it's going to be good. Like I just it's going to be amazing, and I just use that. And all the hard bits, I'm like, oh, whatever. We're going to do this like imposter syndrome thing for a bit because I know a few months down the line everything's going to be amazing.
I love that. It's almost like dive headfirst into the imposter syndrome era, and then that won't be something that gives you imposter syndrome going forward.
It's so tough. It's also trying to just delete imposter syndrome because I went through a phase of feeling like I just don't have that. When people are talking about it, I'm like, don't feel I have that sometimes. But now, you know, I'm like, okay, new challenge. It's come back. Great. Maybe this is what I needed, just a bit of a challenge. But yeah, just using it and driving with it.
Yeah. Do you feel like there is a difference between being invited into spaces and then actually feeling like you belong there?
Yeah. Oh gosh, over the years, there's been many spaces that I felt like I've not belonged. But I'm like, I'm here anyway. So what you can do about it? And I think it's very important for people to get a bit of both. Like, I need you to feel like you don't belong somewhere, because that's where change will come. Because you have two choices. You create the space or you take up space. And I tend to do both. Yeah.
So let's talk about Ultra Black Running, which for anyone who hasn't listened to episode 1, go back and listen because we dove into it quite deeply there. But it started as a response to exclusion, right? And now it carries influence and it's encouraging more and more people to get involved, and you've shown up and you've had these incredible moments at races, and it's a movement. It's not, you know, it's a big thing. How do you protect your original intention as Ultra Black Running grows?
Another great question, because I'm in that, you know, position right now. I'm sort of like, you know, this thing has grown and I love what it's become, but this is not about what I want anymore. It's about like what the community want, what's going to be best for people who, you know, choose to join. So it's sort of like just talking to people and figure out what is it that you actually want and how can we make this a thing. You know, the way Ultra Black is going to function moving forward is going to completely change once this charity comes on board as well. So I'm just thinking about that, and it's sort of like more. It's with more. But more comes with like change, and it's removing myself as even more, and that's quite hard because, you know, that's my baby. So that has been a really, I won't say confronting, but it's been it's interesting and eye-opening because that's what community work is. It's like, you know, it's not about you and talking about like, oh, look at this great thing that I did. No, I didn't do anything. The people who joined did it all. You know, some of the members ran their first 50k last year, and Ultra Black Running, the name in itself was a joke because it's like, you know, I wanted to run ultra, so let's get other people. And people are like, I'm never going to run ultra. I'm like, that's fine. But some people did. So it's like, what's your ultra? And yeah, I'm really, really excited about where it can go, but I'm letting go of control, and I'm like eyes twitching in the process. But I'm so excited because that means for me that's success. Like I've got to a point where like it's not about what I want, it's about the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you feel like has been the thing that maybe surprised you the most about what the people are wanting and what your original intention was? How has that direction changed course slightly?
I think because it's not just about running. Like a lot of the stuff that I do most of the time, it's not actually about running. It's about togetherness. It's about figuring yourself out. It's about learning new things about yourself. And I think people have done that. And, you know, running opened so many doors for me. And I think running is opening so many doors for other people. And it doesn't have to be in a running space. It could be something else completely different. But it started with movement. So I think that's what's been the like change and realization for me.
So how do you hold space for others when you are still set out on chasing your own goals? You've got races, but you're setting up all of these incredible movements. How are you still able to show up for others and hold space for what they want while still respecting your own needs?
I think that's quite hard because it is taking time out, and sometimes that is me removing myself from everything and, you know, not having meetups. And you know, I get so many DMs like, when's the next run? And I feel so awful because I'm like, I don't have the answer, because right now I just need to focus on like recharging a bit, because sometimes I pour from an empty cup, and, you know, everyone's like, don't pour from an empty cup and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes I am, and that depletes me. And then it means that it takes me quite a while to get back into the door that has to be front facing and wants to like help people. So, you know, last year I chose to just do like few races here and there and show up at a few events, and this year's like now want to, you know, chase my own goals. So what it does look like is I'm not going to be holding that much space, and that is fine. My therapist said it's fine, like it's fine, because I had to accept that for a long time. I was like, but I'm, you know, this is who I am. I want to help. I have to be there for people. I have to be there for people, but I had to accept that sometimes you won't. Yeah.
So what are some of the other leadership lessons that you feel you've learned the hard way that maybe no one prepared you for?
How long do you have? I think being intentional with who you work with and who you surround yourself with. You know, I've had fallouts last year. Did not see that coming. Hit me like a ton of bricks. Probably still recovering right now about it. But, you know, it's, who you surround yourself with. And not everyone is going to be on the same page as you, and that is absolutely fine. Also, not taking things personally. I take everything personally, and I'm going to continue to do that. So whatever. I'm passionate about things. I will, like, if something doesn't work for someone, I'm going to be like, I'm an awful person. But then also, you know, figure it out. But I think it's mainly people, like being very intentional, being very protective of you and also the people that you're around and your communities. I think many fallouts came because I was trying to be everything for everybody, and that's just not possible.
It's such a hard lesson, isn't it? It's like sometimes you actually are capable of doing all of the things in front of you, and even if you are capable, the right answer isn't saying yes to all of them. It's like choosing where to put your energy. That saying you can't pour from an empty cup, I remember one of my really good friends first saying that to me, and it hit me so hard. I was like, I needed to hear that. But like you're saying, sometimes you are, and you just have to push through that phase of being depleted. But as long as you can see an end in sight of coming, I feel like you can kind of get through that. Do you ever feel pressure to perform perfectly or to be perfect when you do have eyes on you and you are representing something much bigger than just yourself?
I used to feel like that, and now I'm like, you get what you're given. Do you know what I mean? You get what you're given, because like, I feel like I do the most and I feel like I do it well. So like, yeah.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
How have you got better at saying no? Because this is something I've spoken to a few guests about, and it is that whole thing of then looking after your energy, still chasing your own goals, being able to show up well for people when you do have the energy. Have you managed to let go of the guilt around saying no, or is that still something you're working on?
Still working on it, but it's quicker to say no than it is to recover from burnout. So I'm always thinking, and sometimes, you know, no can be like, not right now. It can be like, let's revisit something else in the future, because like, we don't all have capacity. And again, if someone tells me, I've had no's like you have no idea, but funny enough, I don't take that personally, because I just know that people don't have that capacity. And I know what pouring from an empty cup feels like, and I know how long it takes, and I know that the mental toll it takes on me to try and recover. So I'm just like, not right now. Soz.
Yeah. Soften the blow a little bit.
Yeah, soz.
Okay, so let's talk about running a little bit and how your visibility in the running world has grown. When you first got into running, do you feel like your relationship with your body has changed from then to now? And was there a point where you realised that you were being a voice for lots of people, that relationship then started to shift? Did you experience that at all?
I feel like, yeah, like when I first started running, you know, it was to apparently feel fitter. And, you know, there was obviously aesthetic goals driven, because I was like, whoa, like I'm seeing weight loss. Wow, I look great. And it has changed. It goes up and down. I think, you know, when we talk about body image and stuff like that, it's going to be a topic we talk about forever, and it's going to constantly be up and down. There's no such thing as like, oh, you know, it's fine, I don't think about that. I think about it all the time. It could be, you know, a top that I wear and I'm like, oh, I look horrendous. Or like looking at race photos and I'm like, not posting those anywhere. But also just how I show up, you know, I feel like there's so many, like running is so huge now, and we're seeing all kinds of runners, and I think that's also fantastic. And it's nice to see that, because back in the day I didn't see runners that I could relate to most of the time. Even the fact that I have big boobs, like I didn't see that. So I'm like, okay, maybe when I'm looking for sports bras, okay, maybe they don't exist because runners don't have big boobs. But yeah, where it is now is, I think it's fantastic. Obviously, you know, when something grows so quickly, so fast, it comes with its negatives. But I think for the most part, I think it's fantastic how it's sort of like grown.
Do you think there is still this narrow idea of what a quote unquote real athlete looks like? And if there is, how do we still continue to challenge to change that?
It's a tough one. I think it depends where and who it comes from. Like I tend to like block out that noise. You know, when we look at, you know, social media campaigns and where you consume your running, like certain narratives can be pushed. And, you know, the algorithm loves to push a sub-3 marathoner. And I'm like, honey, like wrong audience, like not going to be me. But I think it's, yeah, what you consume and how you choose to sort of like internalize it, I guess. And even just like people you speak to. You know, I've had so many instances where I've showed up to run clubs and people have told me their PB before they've told me their name, and I'm like,
Hi, I'm
boring.
Dora.
Like, yeah, I'm like, boring. Yeah, I think goals are becoming less and less personal to people. And you know what? I don't blame people for feeling like that, because, again, the internet's a crazy place, and we're like, oh, we have to be aspiring to do the craziest thing we've ever done. And yeah, I think it's just trying to make it a bit more personal again.
So as someone who's been in the running world for a while, with seeing all of these crazy challenges people are doing, where personally I feel like a lot of it is being done for clout rather than actually because perhaps their body is able to do that. Sometimes people just muscle through these crazy challenges with injury, or they're doing it for social media following or whatever, but they're masking it as something. And a lot of this tends to be ultra running. How has it felt as someone who's in it for really morally strong reasons, seeing this come into the space?
That is, yeah, really interesting. I actually found myself, I think it was like beginning of last year, I caught myself in a moment of like, I was like, oh, I haven't done an ultra this year, I want to do one. Generally because I just enjoy the process of it. And I found a 50k race and I was like, but that's nothing. In that moment, I was like, what? I had to gather myself real quick, because I was like, that is crazy. That's because I'm seeing all of these like run streaks, running lengths of countries and all these type of things. And in that moment, I was like, wow, I just lost myself for a bit. And these things can be relatable, but you got to find, you know, a way to make it work for yourself. And 50k let me tell you something, for free of charge, it's a long ass way. 5k is a long way, you know, and I think when we're seeing too much of something, we're just normalizing it.
Well, it's like you were saying with the 3-hour marathon, that's so normalized now. I mean, I don't think people realize how insane that is so quick. And also what it takes to be able to do that, the sacrifice, it's not compromise, it's sacrifice to do that. Can we give people some context of just how hard it is to run these things that have been normalized, like sub 90 half, sub 40 10, sub 25? Like, this is insane.
It's like, honestly, bring back the sub 4. Like, I remember, you know, years ago when I first started running, sub 4 was the golden time that everybody wanted to get. And now it's sub 3. And the thing is, it's great. Like, I love the fact that people are pushing themselves, but that is not for everybody. And it takes, like you said, like, so much sacrifice. And it's such an ask of your body to do something like that. So, like, we can congratulate it, absolutely, because it is incredible, but we can't just normalize it because, you know, me who, like, say I'm someone who just, like, has a regular life, 9 to 5, I can't just up and be like, yeah, I'm going to, you know, attain to get a sub 3. And if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be pissed. I'll be like, hold on, this person said I can. And yes, I think it's just bring back thinking as well. Like, and sometimes, you know, we know what we can do. When we talk about audacious goals, we know what's in reach. So whenever we're, like, getting inspired by these things, like, take it as inspiration to do something completely different, but audacious for you.
And it's exactly that. I love that. But also that thing of, well, your fitness might get you to a 307. Who cares? That's still amazing. Or a 301. Same. It's not that you didn't push hard enough when you were running. It's that is where your fitness is at. And that is so okay. But it's like these days, everyone feels like they're being watched.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that idea of resilience has changed now. It's like, rather than just being, okay, this is tough, I've got to push through, it's like, no, I will go until my body breaks.
And I think that's where it gets dangerous. And, like, I love a long journey. Like, I've known people who've been chasing sub 3 for years. And when it finally happens, like, I'm like, we're throwing a party, what the hell? I think it's this, like, microwave success that we're trying to, you know, we need things done and done now. Like, if you just started running, it might take some time. And that's actually the fun part. I know it sounds like boring and preachy, but, like, the journey is actually the fun part, because when you look back, you're like, wow, I really put in the work. And can I get to this point without not being broken? Because then you tend to, like, I've seen so many run challenges, run situations, journeys, people get to their goal and then fall apart after. And it's like, is that worth it? Because then you just disappear and you're trying to recover for, like, what, a year, 2 years. Not worth it. I promise you, it's not worth it. Like, you get your likes and you get whatever, the brand deal, whatever it is you're after. But then after that, what? You know? And it's just, I just don't think it's fair on yourself either.
No. And I think that's something that's really important. It's definitely something I've learned over the last couple of years of, so after I did the half, I had a bit of inflammation around a tendon in my foot. And I didn't run for 5 weeks. I was so fine with that. But I was like, I could have run earlier, but for what? And it is that thing. I didn't feel any pain during the race. And if I had, I actually think I would have stopped, because it's definitely that mindset. In the past, I would have been like, no, we're chasing a goal, let's go. But I would say my definition of resilience has definitely changed over the years. What's your definition of resilience like these days?
It's kind of like not giving up, but if it's not going to plan, it's fine to stop. Like the other day when I was like, if I continue running, and I wasn't even in pain. I probably just, like, ate too soon. It was cold. Body felt heavy. I was like, not it. I'm gonna stop right now and call an Uber, and I'm gonna feel so much better for it because the car's gonna be warm, and tomorrow's a new day. But I think, the idea of resilience again has changed, because I've been that person that has done the most and broken afterwards. It was actually 10 years ago. So I know, and I've had situations where I've finished races or got to goals and I've been like, wow, fantastic. Last May, I, trained for a mountain race that had scared me for months, like literally kept me up at night. And I remember doing the race. It was harder than I thought it would be. Training didn't go to plan, but I got to the end and I was like, I have never felt this strong during a race. Shout out to my coach. But I was like, I never want to ever feel broken. Like, I want to, I went out, I was outside afterwards having a good time. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take 2 weeks out and I'm going to do the same thing again, train for something else or continue moving how I want to. Now I don't have a rigid program. So I think it's just like, we want to do this forever, essentially. So let's just not be breaking ourselves. Less breaking.
How do you feel people respond when you do share the hard days, and how you are totally okay with calling an Uber when your body or your mind is just like, today is not it? What's the response like?
It's actually mostly good. And to be honest, if there was negative from that, I don't actually care, because you want to finish the run for me then. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you want to finish it? I think it's just like, I'm not trying to be like, negative Nancy. I'm just trying to show what goes into training for 24 weeks. Like, I'm not going to have 24 weeks of bliss. Like, I'm going to have weeks where they just feel crap. And yeah, mostly positive. Like, and I post these things. I have this like annoying trait that I just post things thinking that not a single person will see it. Hence why I post it. And the responses are a lot. And I actually love it, because I'm like, yeah, look at us struggle bus together. And I like to share more lows than highs, because, the highlights are the highlights, like whatever. We see them everywhere. But I like to just show a bit of realness.
I'm probably your number one story watcher.
Yeah. Love it.
Always
need it.
Tess Glyn Jones at the top of every single
Love it.
one. But it's almost like people are asking for permission to not be perfect. And I think that's where social media is so powerful, is that we can showcase as people who maybe they are taking advice from or looking up to or inspired by, that we don't have perfect days. Very rarely have I ever had a perfect training week. Like, something has always been adapted. Do you feel any responsibility to model a slightly healthier relationship with sport than perhaps has been the relationship that people have previously had with it?
I feel like, yeah, in most times, because, I'm a coach as well. So I always have that in the back of my mind whenever I'm posting or what I'm sharing, because, yeah, we do have a responsibility, especially in a time like now where we're in the new year. There's so much emphasis on like, new year, new me. I have to do things. I have to do it now. I have to be running every single day. I need to be fit. I need, and hence why sometimes I will be posting more, and I will be posting more of the low lights, because it's not going to be smooth sailing. Your running journey doesn't start on Jan 1st. Mine actually started I think I started training like November times, just because I wanted to just like roll into it and not have this pressure, because I've had put pressure on myself in the past and been like, oh my god, Jan 10th and it's not going to plan, oh, I don't feel fit, as I wasn't this fit, I wasn't this unfit last year, and it's too much. So I share more lowlights, and obviously that's more because I'm a coach, and when I'm saying things to people, when I'm coaching people, I need them to know that it's coming from experience and not just stuff from thin air. I'm speaking from what I've done.
Experience. I feel like, I don't know how you feel about this, but often with women in sport, because it has got much more of a spotlight now, there is that responsibility to inspire, to educate, to explain, to show the experience. But it can be tiring, having that as part of your job role, as well as everything else that you're doing. Who is there to hold you when those moments feel like they're just a bit too much?
My group chat. No, I have so many of my friends, especially so many of my friends in the industry as well. It could be you, it could be colleagues, it could be like people that understand, and it could be a simple laughing at a meme. And then we'll go into like tiny bit of dialogue about how tired or stressed or whatever it is that we're feeling. But it's also just taking time out. And I think, again, we spend a lot of time on our phones. Screen time is crazy, and I like that. I love being on my phone. I love being online, but sometimes I do have to disappear because it is a lot. And sometimes it is not talking at all. Sometimes just being quiet and then coming back when you want to come back. It will happen.
Yeah, it's almost that thing of like not showing up just because everyone else is showing up and feeling like you're having to go along for the ride. So I feel like with January is quite, at the moment, there are probably lots of people listening to this who are on their like new year, new me, running every day hype. We've spoke a little bit last time about discipline and punishment and like an obsession and where that fine line is. How have you yourself learned to work hard without being cruel to yourself and tipping into that bucket of punishment?
I think it's understanding that I'm just a human being. And also I think back to years ago, there is no way I would have thought that this was something I get to do as a living. So it's like, just chill. And don't get me wrong, like last week was awful. So this week I've put pressure on myself. I'm like, you're going to have a good week, but it's going to be better than the last. And I think if you're on a journey, you've just started, like, please pace yourself, pun intended. Like, please just take it easy. Like, you work hard. Absolutely. There is such a space for working hard and pushing yourself. But if you need, you know, if you have rest days, for example, like you have one rest day, oh, I've had 2, oh, I've had 3, good. That's what your body needed then. Listen to it, you know? I think it's like, make it, like, don't stop listening to yourself, because then you'll start punishing yourself. And that's when it starts to become obsessive and a bit like toxic, and you're like pushing through just for the sake of pushing through. It's not worth it. Also, no one actually cares.
That's
Sorry.
something we all tend to forget, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so big to us, but actually, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it's 2 people who have quite a lot of influence, and they were saying, you know, they get quite a lot of hate online, but actually, as soon as they put their phone down, that hate doesn't exist. As no one cares. No, if you walk into your local hardware store down the road, no one knows who you are. No one knows what you run, what your times are, if you've run or whatever. Like, no one knows that. So it's almost removing it as part of your identity and letting go of, I mean, what screams to me here is that people are confusing consistency with perfection. And that's then where the punishment comes, because if you're not being perfect, you're not being consistent, so what are you doing it for? How would you describe consistency?
Yeah, consistency, do you know what? It's just showing up and giving what you have on that day. You know, for example, I have maybe like 4, I'll just use like a training week, for example. I could have I have 3 gym sessions a week, and I have 3, sometimes 4 runs at the moment. And I'm like, I am going to do all of those runs, but I'm not going to hit all the distances. And that's okay. Same with the gym. I literally walked into the gym the other day, I did 1 lift and I left. I was like, I'm out. But it's just still showing up. And if it is, take a day off instead, then that's fine, I'll do that. It's just trying to make it work for you. What's going to make you feel good? For me, sometimes missing a run is just not going to make me feel good. So it's like, going to cut it in half. If it's, you know, a 10K, I'm going to do 5. If it's 5K and I don't want to do 5K, I'm going to go out and run 3K. And I know, like, if you don't believe me, I'd definitely be doing that. And it's not because I'm injured or in pain. It's just, I'm just not feeling it, but I still want to keep showing up. And you're not losing fitness. You're not losing, like, strength. You're still showing up and you're being consistent and you're doing something for longer, as opposed to like pushing through, then which leads to injury or leads to like mental burnout. It's just not worth it.
So from the responses that you tend to get in person, online, from when you share the highs, you share the lows, you share everything, what is that telling you about what you think women in sport, in the fitness, in the running space are looking for, and what do they need?
I think they're looking for a bit of relatability and just a bit of grace as well, because I feel like we're having to be, I'm not an elite athlete, I'm not an Olympian, and where the spotlight is constantly on them, like, you have to be the best, you have to be bold, you have to be great, win, win, win. Just give us a bit of grace. It's fine. Like, it's actually fine. I mean, for them it's a little different because it's how they make a living as well. But I think, yeah, just, we're human beings. Like, we're honestly human beings doing our best on this earth.
So how did your relationship with rest go from being, I can imagine there was a time when running was just solely personal to you and it was what you loved and you got into it. It wasn't your job at the time. It was just your passion. And that's often sometimes I find when we have a really healthy relationship, and then it can go to being, how far can I push this? And we don't want to rest because we feel like we're taking a back step. And then you break and then you're like, oh, I may need a rest day every now and then. How has your relationship with rest evolved throughout that cycle of your time in the sport?
Oh, I live for it. If I see 2 rest days, I'm like, how can I add another one? Sometimes I just add another one. If I don't even like the look of a run, I'm not doing it. Because you know what it is? I just think about like how much better I'm going to feel. And sometimes it could be like, you know, I'm not going for a run today, I'm going for a walk, or I'm going to do yoga, or I'm going to do Pilates, or I'm going to just like rearrange my spice cupboard. Like, it's so like, just, rest days used to make me nervous. When I was a brand new runner, brand new to long distance running, it made me nervous. Like, oh my God, I don't want to sit still and do nothing. I'm losing progress. But then, you know, you go online and you're like, the gains come in your sleep. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe you're onto something. But then also it's just like actually feeling it. Like, when I've come out and I feel rested, like I'll do my runs and then I'll take like I'll take a day off and then I'll be like, oh, I'm going to have another day off. And then I'll come back and how fresh I feel. I'm like, this is what I want to feel all the time. So if I need it, I'm going to take it.
So I was listening to Paula Radcliffe's podcast recently and I just think she's amazing. I love her. And someone had asked her, basically on what her view on that 70% of your run should be zone 2. And she said, no, that's not what she agrees with. And actually, if you are running just because it's an active recovery day or a rest day and you want to run, and you're not able to hit the intensity prescribed, maybe you just need a rest day, and to not fear that. And I thought that was really cool the way she put that of, if your body's telling you no, it's telling you no. And that's because you need to take that time off and take that step back. But I do feel like runners can go all in, and it does become, like with anything that we tend to go all in on, it becomes our identity. And then it's that thing of, if I'm seen to rest, then I'm losing that part of who I am. Do you feel like sport is still, or rest is still misunderstood in sport? Particularly as women, sometimes we have to prove a little bit more that we belong in these spaces of sport, just because it hasn't always been as accessible for us. Do you feel like that idea of rest is still misunderstood?
Yeah, I think so. And I think when I think about, myself as a runner, the people that I'm around who are also runners, like, we are not Olympians. So it's like, if we take 4 rest days and lose a bit of fitness, what's the problem? Do you know what I mean? It's like, Olympians deserve their rest as well. But like, what is actually the problem? It's such a, there's a whole, like, you never regret a run. I have been on multiple runs where I've been like, could have done without that.
Same.
Definitely could have done without that. If I just stayed my ass on the couch, I would have been absolutely fine. Because then also you just fall into a bit of a negative mindset. And I just think for me, that's what I find a bit scary about long training journeys. Is like, I don't want to fall into a negative mindset, because then I lose motivation, then I lose confidence, and it just spirals. So I think, rest is still a bit misunderstood, but just try to understand what it looks like for you. For me, it's like as many as possible, really. Even if it's like, okay, I'm going to go hard for my runs and then do nothing for the rest of the day. I'm privileged enough to be able to do so. And yeah, the whole zone 2, this, that, the other, every run is hard. like recovery runs are hard, you know what I mean? And I think I train all my easy ones, I do them really easy, and the hard ones are just too hard. And again, I show up differently. I have an easy run today, and I already know it's going to be hard. I'm just like, oh God. I'm probably going to like cut it in half, just because I feel like that's what would be great for me today.
It's just so cool that you've really got to a point where you understand what your body needs so well. So I want to touch a bit on the growth of running, and how a lot of people, there's a lot of talk about growth in running, but I feel like maybe not everyone quite understands who or what the growth is serving. And sometimes this growth is the growth of a brand rather than more inclusivity, more diversity within the sport. What do people need to understand about the reality of what more access to running looks like?
I think with the growth of running, we're seeing the rise of run clubs, the rise of run challenges, and people doing insane things. I think people feel like people are becoming more active, and they are, and I think that's amazing. But I think people are also creating a narrative that we have to be the bigger and the best, and you don't. People will start a run club and be like, growth, and like, that's not how it works, and that shouldn't be the goal. If it grows very quickly, great, but it shouldn't be the goal. It's like, serve who you have. There's a run club, I forgot the name. I think it's Tom's Run Club. If I'm wrong, sorry. And I watched the story of how that run club became, and it was just, I remember just watching it and being like, oh, I feel so energized and refreshed, because he would post a day that not one person was sharp, or post a day 2 people sharp, then 3, back to 2, then nobody. And I'm like, that is what it should be about. It's like, just focus on serving who you need to serve, and the right people are going to come, and then the opportunities will come if that's what the goal is. But I think we're in this, again, like, grow, deals, partnerships, sponsorships, and it's like, who is that serving and for what, you know? I've been lucky enough to have been a part of many a club and have had many, opportunities, but it was never the goal. And I sound all preachy, like, it was never, like, it wasn't. I just focused on what I was doing and enjoyed what I was doing, and then naturally things came. Patience is what we need a bit more of in this space. It's growing, it's not going anywhere. It's probably going to grow even bigger, and let that be something that drives us and excites us. We don't have to rush. It's not going anywhere. Focus on, just focus on what's in front of you.
What would you say real investment in diversity looks like? Not performatively in a way that sometimes brands can get very wrong, but actual investment in diversity in the running space?
Good question. How long do you have? Do you know what? This has changed for me quite a lot over the years. And I think that comes from listening to communities and listening to the people that I'm around. And I think real investment in creating diversity looks different for many reasons. And it could be, you know, what else can we be doing than other than like shoving race places in people's faces? Because that actually doesn't do anything. It just, you know, gives you a few Instagram posts, if I'm honest. How can we really invest? Because you also, like, I think I've seen so many, I'm going to use like ultra trail races, for example, races, bibs handing out. They get to do stories and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. Oh, I love that. And then that's it. You don't hear of it again. And it's just the same cycle. And it's like, we're not actually doing anything here. Yes, someone gets a cool experience, but what else? Like, what else are you doing as an organisation to, you know, promote this? And it could be, you know, helping them with coaching, or like if you're working with the community, how can you help the community? Is it, you know, speaking with someone from your marketing teams on how to sort of like market yourselves better? Is it someone from your creative team, or can you put them in touch with someone creatively to talk about how to storytell, or, you know, even down to how people hire for their roles? Because we talk about, you know, the grassroots work being done, but when you know, go to senior level and management level, senior positions, no diversity. So it's like, I can tell you for free of charge, if you in a run club that has, you know, 50 to 100 people, even 5 to 10 people, there is your next chief marketing officer in there. There is your next, you know, creative director. Like, people are there, and that's what real investment looks like. And they'll understand the sport too. So for me, that's what it looks like. It's all rounded rather than just like, here, come to our event. Because I've had so much of that in the past. And it's like, I go to this event, I'm the only black person there, and I'm like, this has done nothing for me. I could have been in my house. But you get to say, look at, we had diversity there. And it just gets really boring. And, you know, we're in 2026 now. We need to be doing more.
Yeah. So the race that you did in 2021 that I was stalking again today, we still can't figure out how to say it. Is it Azores? We don't know how to say it.
Azores.
But you were saying that you were the only black woman on the start line and there were only 2 black men on the start line. Do you feel like the running space is doing better with actual diversity and investment in diversity, like you were saying? Have you noticed that over the course of the last 5 years? Or is there still a hell of a lot of work to be done?
Yeah, there has been work that's been done. Like, you know, there is so much more to be done, but I feel like it's also opened so many doors. Like, you know, so many communities are claiming their power as well, which I'm absolutely loving to see. Like, the togetherness that things are, yeah, it's lots of work, but I love what's happening. And people are realising that, you know, okay, if you're not going to give us a seat at the table, we're going to create our own table. And that's what I'm talking about. Because I'm like, someone tells me they're creating a rate, I'm pulling up. I might not run, I'm pulling up, you know? And I think that's just what it should be about. I think the goal might have been to create a more diverse race, but really, you know, I'm going to use a friend of mine, Sabrina, she has Black to the Trails, and that's a trail race to get more ethnically diverse people on the start line. And you go there and you're like, wow, I'm seeing, you know, 4 white people. And you know what, it's quite nice, but also it just creates this like incredible vibe. There's like 1K races, 5K races, 10K races, and it's just bringing the people together and not having to worry about like ROI and you need to get these deliverables because they've given you a space and all that kind of stuff. So I think people are really claiming the power, and brands will see that, and you know, you can either like invest in it or not, but it's going to happen. Like, people are going to, like, we're such a force. I think the entire running industry, all races, all genders, were such a force. So like, why not be powerful together?
I love this. At what point did you stop waiting for permission to take up space?
I think once I just got to a point where I was like, I'm great at what I do, and I have, do you know, it's the people around me. I swear to you, like, I got to a point where I was like, I have such incredible people around me, or like I attract like great people. Why would I need to be like please, please, please. Like, no, we can do so much together. And again, it goes back to the power, just like claiming, hang on a second. What if, because, you know, and I think about Gen Z as well, because we all seem to be obsessed with Gen Z at the moment, but they're just so like, we're going to do it anyway, whatever. And we need a bit more of that, because I think, sorry, millennials, we're so used to like grind, work hard and all that kind of stuff. And it kind of it worked in my favour, but also I could have tapped into my power a bit earlier.
Well, it's that thing, isn't it? It's like, yes, there's nothing wrong with the grind, and sometimes it's necessary to get you to a certain point, but don't be afraid to then start reaping the rewards of the effort you've put in. And that might look like you're doing less, but you can now afford to, and actually by doing less you can gain more because you've put in all of that time of the grind. So it's that balance of the two, isn't it? Of like, yeah, 100% work hard, but then also don't be afraid to do the thing, no matter how that looks.
Yeah.
From the outside looking in.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it is because the reason why sometimes I've been like, you know what, screw you, I'm going to do my own thing. It's because I've put in the work over the years. So I'm like, why not?
Yeah, love that. What would you say is one part of your story that is perhaps misunderstood, and what is the truth behind it?
Oh, don't know. I don't know. That's a really, sometimes I'm like, and I was talking to another friend about this the other day, like sometimes I feel like I'm just such chaos and like everything is just a bit scatty and like, you know, a bit carefree and whatever. I'm like, no, I really do think about things like meticulously, and I'm kind of rigid. We run a strict program over here, but yeah, I think it's, I am a bit carefree in some ways, but I am very intentional, very serious about everything that I do. And sometimes when I'm, taking breaks from things, it's not, because people be like, oh, like I would love it if, your run clubs are consistent. In my mind, it's consistent because I'm taking a rest so I can show up and give you everything I have. So I think, yeah, that's what I feel.
What kind of future are you trying to build, not just for yourself, but for all of the women coming after you?
I think just being you and being like, I don't give a heck. Take what you're given, because what I'm giving is the best. And, I think I have this conversation often with people, like I'm not a competitive person. And I used to see it as a bad thing, because it can be a game of rounders. It can be working on a marketing campaign. I am not competitive. I don't believe in it. I'm not good at it. Like, I'm too lax for that. Even if I'm like doing a 100-meter sprint with a group of friends, like I'm not going to be like, I don't care. Like, I probably got dropped as a baby, but I'm like, I just don't have that competitive streak in me. Because I really feel like there's a spot for everyone, first of all. Also, I'm always like, what's the rush? But I feel like there's a spot for everyone. We can all do things together. We don't need crabs in the bucket mentality. Like, let's all win together.
I love it. If you could say one thing to the Dora who sat in that chair this time last year, what would it be?
Told you.
I love that. You have been brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.